Hello YouTube, this is Morgan, Airspeed Prime here at my next Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles episode review. This one is for Season 4, Episode 18, Mutant Gangland. And this was a solid episode. I wouldn't say it was particularly strong. I don't think it was super weak. But there were strengths to this episode and weaknesses to this episode, so it was solid enough. The main issue I had with the episode was that basically I accidentally predicted this would happen in the last review, and that is that I believe I complained about the last episode for being overly like, oh, another bug episode, another like characters have issues with these bugs or whatever. I think that was the last episode, and then I'm like, this is just a repeat of this plot, like they've already repeated plots like Raph dealing with his anger, Raph having issues with Leo's leadership, and what do we get in this episode? A Raph side plot of him being overly aggressive, overly angry, trying to get too aggressive and physical in the fights, and a little bit of doubting Leo's leadership again. So the Raph side of this episode missed the mark completely for me. Just nothing of note to that. It was just purely another case of Raph was angry, went off on his own, kind of got some of the other turtles in trouble, realized the error of his ways, came back, realized Leo's a good leader, it's better to be part of the team, let's learn a lesson about this. Thankfully, the episode was saved because we basically, okay, this is also a Mutanimals episode, and we're going heavily in with the kind of mobsters, Don Vizioso. And I like that this kind of faction within the faction war to take over the city basically went completely anti-mutant. I thought that was actually a really interesting idea of just, these are humans who don't feel that mutants should have such a big presence within the city. And that made sense to me, that they basically made all of their weapons to counter that, because in their minds, the mutants are monsters, the humans aren't. That's the problem. That was actually a pretty cool kind of motive for the villains to have. That another way of looking at it is like, that's fairly okay, because a lot of the mutants in the show are actually villains. So it's really only like the groups that we have in this episode, the Turtles and the Mutanimals, who are the good mutants. So the mobsters here kind of have a point. The problem obviously being that they came across as villains because they targeted specifically the hero characters. But I like these villains okay. Like I don't think they're overly strong. That once again, it's another villain who is more of a comedic villain because he's obsessed with eating, and they kind of emphasize that the whole time. He seems like it's impossible for him to be able to walk on his own. And they also go completely, New York Italian mobster kind of situation where it's kind of like speaking like they're Italian Godfather type situation, and it's very stereotypical, but they were interesting enough, they were fun enough for the episode, introducing so many characters. I don't remember these characters from before, so I think this is their first episode. Maybe I'm missing something, but they felt new to me, or at least didn't stand out in any episode they were previously in. Other than that, we got to see the Mutanimals. There was a really kind of slightly dark moment in the episode where Leatherhead, I think, was it Leatherhead or Spike? Anyway, they mentioned, where is Pigeon Pete? And they're like, we don't talk about Pigeon Pete, and this is why Mondo Gecko is with us. That was kind of like, whoa, did Pigeon Pete die off screen? Or I'm kind of thinking like, or is his voice actor not going to come back and this is their way of kind of weirdly writing him off of the series or something like that? I'm not overly sure, but that was a kind of, could be very dark, could be just a very simplistic writing way to get him off the show thing. The fight scenes were okay. I didn't think they were overly strong. I didn't think the plot of the episode, once it actually got going, was incredibly notable. It was just like, okay, Donnie gets injured again, Raph's responsible, Raph gets injured, Turtles team up with the Mutanimals, they fight the mobsters a lot, there's a kidnapping situation, they come in, they stop the bad guys and they're out of the picture for now, but not fully defeated. So the show did some interesting things with this episode, but ended up doing a lot of the same problems I would have with the show overall. Being completely unwilling to ever completely remove a villain from the show, ever completely fully defeat a villain, and incapable of seemingly developing the main characters in any way whatsoever, and not using the minor characters in the most effective way. I think the Mutanimals are a very interesting idea, and they are, relatively cool when they show up. I just don't think they are particularly strong characters. So there's definitely a weakness there. I think there was potential with these villains for like a really cool thing of the fact that these villains technically have a point, that the mutants are causing trouble in the city and they're making anti-mutant weapons, and it's kind of weird the way the show kind of paints them completely as the villains when most of the villains of the show are mutants, especially with what Shredder has just done to himself. So maybe these characters will come back, but who really knows? I think this was their first episode, maybe it's their last episode, and it fit into the whole city at war theme of this kind of second half of season 4. But other than that, I like the Splinter scenes at the start when he kind of scolded Donatello for basically further angering Raph and really causing a kind of rift to happen between the turtles. I thought the animation for the fight scene that Leo and Raph had was exceptional. I really liked how they went into like a little bit of MMA. Leo doing the kind of tilt-a-whirl armbar thing. Raph then doing the kind of wrestling style kind of powerbomb out of it, and obviously him getting super physical, like Leo trying to do a more kind of constrictive, like, I have you in the submission hold, stop or something bad will happen, versus Raph being pretty brutal, like slamming Leo against the ground and going for a more dangerous submission with the leg and stuff like that. So that was probably one of the best done fight scenes, even though it was just a sparring thing. So I like that. And then Splinter saying, that's it, and you try to douse a fire by pouring gasoline on it, Donatello. I thought that was a pretty good line. The Splinter scene at the end of the episode, I felt didn't have a lot of meaning behind it, even though I think that was the intent, purely because Raph being angry and having to make up with the other turtles has been done so many times that it just had no impact here. So that's basically all I want to say about the episode. In comments, let me know what your thoughts were on the episode, on my review. I'll just end by saying links to my social media accounts, Twitter and Tumblr, are in the description below. And then if you want to help support my channel, links to my Patreon page and also my PayPal donation link are also in the description below. So that's been the video. Thanks for watching, and bye.